Alright, hello everyone. I have a bit of a different video for you today. So, I got this Buick LeSabre a couple months ago. It's an amazing car. I really like it, but there is one little issue that I've noticed with it in the couple of months that I've had it. The turn signals are quite dim. And when in a situation like right now where the sun is shining on the back of the car, it's pretty hard to see the turn signals flashing. And given the area I live in, the Chicago Metro, where the drivers are very aggressive, they're rude, and they just don't like paying attention to the road, that's a bit of a problem. Because oftentimes I find myself in situations where I'm about to make a turn, I have my turn signal on, and I'm slowing down, and I get people honking at me and making rather unkind gestures to me. So clearly people are not noticing that my turn signals are on. So that is why I designed these things. These are turn signal flashers that have a yellow bulb in them, so that way they are much more visible than the red turn signals. I've had a bit of a bone to pick with the American style turn signal for quite a while now. The color red, in any situation, it's harder to see than the color yellow is. And yeah, I've never really liked the style that American cars do turn signals in. Technology Connections has a whole video that goes into that on his channel that you can check out. I really like that video. That does a good job of summarizing it. So the turn signals that I made are amber or yellow, whatever. The color amber is a much more visible color on the road, especially in very bad conditions, in snow, in fog, in rain, any visibility hindering conditions. Amber is proven to be visible for much further of a distance than the color red, which is why I made these amber. Now, the inside of the light has no paint at all in it, so there's no yellow paint at all. That way, when the light, as you might be able to see from here, when the light is shining on it, you will not mix it up with, is it flashing, is it not flashing? You'll know for certain whether it is flashing or not. Because, as you can tell right now, these lights might be a little bit difficult to see, because when the sun shines into them, because they're colored red, it is hard to tell if it's just a glare off the light or if the bulbs are actually on and flashing. But with these ones, it's very easy to tell whether they are flashing or not, which was my whole idea with the whole thing. So I designed these in Onshape. It's an awesome online program that lets you 3D edit all sorts of different stuff. You can make anything, and the best part is it's free. I have designed a lot of things with it, and it's very user-friendly, very easy to use, and yeah, it's a very nice program. And these were made in Onshape with that. They were designed in Onshape. And I specifically focused on the arc design on the inside, because if it was just a 45-degree angle, the light coming out of the bulb would just go straight out and it would create a ring on the light. Whereas with an arc, the light coming from multiple different spots on the bulb is deflected in all sorts of different directions, and that leads to an even dispersion of the light. So once I had that design finished, set up my 3D printer and started printing. And that was where the first problem surfaced.
So it's 6:13 a.m. I had it printing last night. It's just warming up right now. I had it printing last night, and then I woke up at about 2:45 to a crack noise. Thought nothing of it in the haze I was in, and ended up hearing noises, so I got up and checked it out. And well, there, it's just starting. This, stupid me, the base was so small on there, and there was no support holding it up, because this piece here was printing around that. So from that side, there was nothing supporting that. So the movement of the table caused it to snap loose and come off the table. And it, yeah, so that ended up happening, which I did not want. But it's very windy outside. But on the other hand, it looks good. It's just started to print the arc, and the light fits in it. Uh, 12 hours of printing wasted. You live and you learn.
Now, this was completely an issue on my behalf. This had nothing to do with the 3D printer being bad or anything. This was 100% an issue on my behalf. I made the print base way too small, and I did not connect anything to it at all. So eventually the print head just started knocking it loose, and the table shaking it didn't help at all. So it came loose, and I had to start over. Now, my solution to that problem was to add supports on it, which are visible on a picture I'll be putting on screen right now. Those supports there are to ensure that what happened in that clip you just saw do not happen again. And it proved very useful because from then on out, I used that design and had no issues with it. Now, my first idea was to paint the inside of the housing chrome with chrome spray paint, so that way it reflects as much light as possible instead of just relying on white to make it bright. But unfortunately, the paint that I got from the hardware store was not nearly as reflective as it was advertised, so I had to figure something out. Thankfully, I have aluminum foil HVAC tape laying around in our garage, and ended up using that and just coated the whole inside with the HVAC tape, and that ended up doing a lot better than I thought it would. So that way the inside is as reflective as possible and all of the light is pointed right out the arrow. And another design that I put on there was a small hole on the side so that some of the light would go in and out the back side of the light. That way, when I'm in the driver's seat, I can just look in my mirror and see a little hole on the side blinking with the turn signal. So that way I know the lights are flashing, they're working, nothing, no fuse blew or anything, and that I don't have to hit the hazards and get out of the car and actually go check them. So that was actually a pretty useful feature to add in. Now, there was one other problem that I was facing. I didn't know how I would cover the arrows themselves with a frosted cap. Now, with a transparent cap, there could be sunlight coming into the light, reflecting off of the aluminum tape, and then shining right in the driver behind me, right in their eyes, and annoying the hell out of them. So I tried to avoid that by using Scotch tape, which was a bit of a janky way of doing it, but I covered it with Scotch tape on the back side, the inside part, and then wrapped the whole thing in packing tape. And that actually proved to be pretty good. It held up really well, and it looked really nice like that. So I did that with the other arrow, stuck them on, and held on with that design. So then we move on to the installation phase, the really fun part. After tearing out the lining and all the plastic in my trunk and looking for the wires, I finally found them. I realized there were 3 wires and not 2 like I thought there would be, so I had to probe each individual wire, which isn't that hard, using my ideal amperage tester, using the clamps around each wire. Thankfully, it has a very nice feature where it can test that, and managed to find, with the hazards turned on, managed to find which one was giving off a pulsating current, and that indicated to me which one was which. So from that point, I said a quick prayer that all would go well and that the rest of the project did not have any issues. Cut the wires, strip them, and then put all of the wires together and cap them off with wire nuts. So The really fun part was trying to get the wires into the cab of the car itself from the trunk. For this, I figured I'll just pull my seats down, but after learning that they don't pull down, I was a bit needing a new idea. So what I ended up doing was taking an old ice scraper, pulling the fabric of the seats out as far as I could before it just didn't come out anymore, wedged the ice scraper in there, turned my flashlight on my phone on, put it in, crawled into my trunk, and then played the lovely, lovely game of follow the light. And after many painstaking attempts, managed to fish the wire through into the cab, and from that point it was a pretty easy process. There you just strip the wires, cap them on, had to resolder a wire that fell off, and then from there on out it's pretty easy. Then after that, just repeat the whole process again with the other light. And like that, the project was done. Okay, I just did something amazing. Hazards. So you have the regular hazards, and then voila. It's cool. I did all this myself. But, alas, there was a problem. Yeah. The turn signals double as brakes. Another huge peeve I have with American turn signals. So I figured to take care of that problem, maybe I could just cover the arrow with paper or something to make it a rectangle instead of an arrow. That's realistically the most easy process to do. I haven't done it yet, but if I need to, that's what I'll do. But in the end, I figured, okay, well, yellow is much brighter than red. It makes the car much more visible, so maybe I'll just stick with it. I'll just leave it that way. I was thinking I could replace the light with a red bulb, but that would completely defeat the purpose of making the things in the first place. So I decided just leave it. So what I might do in the future is, like I said, just turn it into a rectangle instead of an arrow. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing, but just haven't gotten around to it yet. Figured that's not very high on my priorities. So anyway, that's the whole process. If you somehow managed to stick through to this point in the video, thank you. I congratulate you for managing to listen to me for this long. So yeah, but thank you for tuning in to a little project of mine, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.